Since I'm asked about this frequently, I'm going to just describe my pathway to becoming a facial plastic surgeon. It's something I really enjoy doing. I'm really thankful and happy that I had the opportunity to do it. And so basically, the path to anything, any journey in life is somewhat complicated. And at least for me, it relates to your innate abilities, your preferences, to your family and the people that you meet and admire along the way. And so it's pretty easy to start for me, or the beginning is with my family. I'm a third generation physician. My father is actually a retired anesthesiologist. He practiced for over 30 years in Miami, Florida. He actually trained went to medical school in Dublin at UCD. His father was a family physician, or just a physician, in Killorglin, County Kerry in Ireland, and that's in the southwest of Ireland. And actually, my father and 5 of my aunts and uncles were also physicians, including my Uncle Brendan. My Uncle Brendan was actually the first formally trained plastic surgeon in Ireland, having trained in Chepstow in Wales, and having the ability to train with both McIndoe and Gillies, who were both considered 2 of the forefathers in modern plastic surgery, which began essentially after World War I and then after World War II with the terrible injuries that were seen that had never been seen before. So that was the beginning of my journey, and I wanted to, or that was somebody I was encouraged to possibly emulate, because my Uncle Brendan was really kind of a big deal in Ireland when I was over there, and I actually went to boarding school in Ireland for 6 years. The next part of my journey, after graduating University of Georgetown, I went to medical school, also at Georgetown, and I initially thought I wanted to be a neurosurgeon, and I did research in neurosurgery, or at least in neurologically related subjects, and I was published in epilepsy when I was in medical school, but I just didn't really like the clinical outcomes of neurosurgery, and I really preferred the tangible aspects and sort of visual aspects of other things, and I knew I wanted to be a surgeon. And then I met somebody called Dr. Roy B. Sessions, who was a head and neck surgeon at Georgetown. He'd basically trained at WashU with Dr. Agura in St. Louis, and had been at Baylor. And he actually was the most impressive surgeon I'd ever seen. And both his abilities in the OR, which were technically superb, his knowledge of anatomy, and also his leadership as a person were something I wanted to emulate. As I went along in my residency in otolaryngology, head and neck surgery, I discovered that I liked putting it back together more than I liked taking it apart, to put it that way, or the reconstructive aspect was a lot more enjoyable to me. And then I pursued a fellowship, and I was lucky enough to gain a fellowship with Dr. Regan Thomas in St. Louis. Dr. Thomas has been considered one of the foremost leaders in facial plastic surgery in the last few decades, especially in reconstruction, scar revision, but also in aesthetic surgery, and was certainly a tremendous person to gain guidance from. The last aspect is innate ability and things that you like to do. And I discovered at an early age that I like to draw, and I had some artistic sensibility, and I like the tangibility of doing things, with my hands, creating things. And so it made sense to put the 3 things together. My abilities, I like to draw, I like to do things, my family background in medicine, my Uncle Brendan's influence in being a plastic surgeon, and then the great influence of the people that I'd met along the way, Dr. Sessions with his technical and leadership excellence, and Dr. Thomas, who is just a tremendous leader and a true gentleman. And I was lucky enough to have those examples to follow in my career path. And so that's kind of a distilled version of how I became a facial plastic surgeon. Initially, I did a lot more reconstruction when I was in my earlier years, and my practice evolved more to being more aesthetic and facial rejuvenation. In other words, helping people restore their self-image and to feel better about the way they look and be more confident in their lives. Thank you for joining me on this story.